Coming up, the fact that we repeat painful patterns in relationships if we've been in bad relationships, and how the masochist in us continues to make us feel like we need to be punished. That's on this edition right now of Depraved and Debaucherous. Thanks for listening in. And the story I'm beginning about this is the repetition compulsion, a basic concept in psychotherapy. Sigmund Freud believed that the repetition compulsion was a reflection of the death instinct, an unconscious drive towards self-destruction. And it's acted out through processes such as displacement and projection. So what I want to bring up about this is that in some cases, when I've read quite a few books and I've heard some stories where someone that have been in a bad relationship and in some emotional trauma, that they feel like that they had deserved to continue to be in a pattern of destruction, that the negative energy that they had would always bring bad things to them. The cynicism that we have becomes masochism. So the masochism is the fact that we feel like we deserve to be punished. We deserve to be hurt, and things should happen to us and cause us harm because of what happened to us. That it's something that it's supposed to happen to us because that's just the luck that we're drawn. So they talk about this here about what is repeated is not pleasurable. It's usually a painful and destructive pattern of feeling and behaving. And psychoanalytic therapists trace the repetitions to childhood experiences that get replayed in adulthood. Children who are abused often grow up to be abusers or abusers as adults. Now, in this, they talk about displacement, projection, and transference, which is the signs of what you have when you're repeating the painful patterns. First of all, displacement involves experiencing and treating one person as if it were another. The patient may experience the analyst as if she were his mother. And projection involves experiencing another person having feelings that you have. So if the patient feels guilty and experiences the analyst as thinking she is bad. And then there's transference and the analysis of the transference at the heart of the psychoanalytic process. So if things happened to you when you were younger and you were a victim of abuse, whatever things that might have happened to you, sexual, emotional, physical, and then you take it out on your loved ones as you grow older and you mature. And this can happen, if you're a teenager, and what you do to your younger siblings, or when you're dating someone that reminds you of somebody that might have abused you, things like that. It's displacement, projection, and transference. It's a pretty interesting subject to bring up here. And then you talk about working through repetition and transference. Is that there are things that appear in our lives on an everyday basis, and that they're identified through insight and are worked through. So what psychoanalysts or therapists will try to do is they want to help you with the process of being able to distinguish the analyst from the person with whom you developed this pattern in childhood, and internalizing a new way of relating and feeling. So healing yourself by confronting what's happening to you and analyzing what you are doing to the other person, realizing the behavior that you have and why are you acting or responding the way you are. So this one psychologist talks about how she had a patient who experiences me as uninterested in her the way she experienced her mother. And it makes her alternatively desperate to engage me and angry at me for not being engaged. So she is predicting the fact that this therapist is just like her mother. And so she starts acting out like it's her mother, whom she had a bad relationship with, and now she's perpetuating the same thing with someone that's trying to help her. In our relationships with our lovers, friends, husbands, wives, children, friends, and coworkers, the repetitions do not generally get identified or worked through. Now, working through takes a long time. We simply do not stop doing or feeling the way we experience as natural and what we have been doing our whole life. Plus, the other part I always hear about when people try to go ahead and make drastic changes about themselves or drastic behavioral changes, and if it doesn't identify who you are, if it's not something that's naturally you, when you should try to go ahead and be able to realize all the patterns that have made you who you become and try to reason with yourself and try to be a better person, understanding what you've gone through and try to help so that you're not hurting other people. And you're finding a way that you might have certain things that come up, but that's where you want to go ahead and stop all that abuse. Stop the abuse somewhere. That's the idea. We'll keep it short here. As we always say, people are not perfect. Some of us are very much depraved and debaucherous.